I'm going to die in a week. Ask me questions.
I don't want to sound rude, but where did you get the idea that it's in a week?
I'm going to be euthanized in a week. I have a terminal illness, stage 4 ALS. It's aggressive and it's reached a point where I can barely move, speak clearly, or breathe on my own for long. I live in a country where medically assisted death is legal under strict criteria, Canada, to be exact. I've met those criteria and this is my conscious, carefully considered decision, one I've been weighing for 7 months. I've talked it through with my doctor, my family, and a therapist. I didn't arrive here lightly. It's not about giving up, it's about choosing dignity while I still have some.
What was the moment you realized this was the path you were going to take?
It wasn't one moment, it was a series of them chipping away at the life I used to have. The worst was the night I couldn't turn myself in bed. I'd been struggling with mobility, but that night I lay awake for hours, completely paralyzed on one side, panicking, soaked in sweat, staring at the ceiling until the nurse came in for morning rounds. I felt more like an object than a person. But the real turning point was emotional. I was with my brother, trying to say something, and I couldn't get the words out. My voice wouldn't cooperate. He just smiled sadly and said, "It's okay. I know." And I realized that I know was going to become the answer to every conversation I'd never finish. That's when I understood that I had to choose the terms of my goodbye.
How do your loved ones feel about your decision?
It's complicated. My mom cried for a week straight, then started pretending everything was normal. My dad didn't say much, he's an old-school military guy, but I saw him just standing in my room one night, quietly staring at my bookshelf like it held all the answers. My sister screamed at me at first, told me I was being selfish. Then she apologized and hasn't stopped calling since. But the person who surprised me most was my best friend, Owen. He's not emotional. But when I told him, he just said, "Okay, I'll be there." No guilt trip. No drama. Just presence. That meant everything. They're hurting, of course. But they're starting to understand it's not about dying. It's about choosing the last thing in my life that I still have control over.
Are you scared?
Yes. But not of death itself. I'm scared of the in-between, the last hour, the last breath, the moment when I say goodbye and it actually sticks. I think a part of me still clings to the hope that maybe something will change, that maybe I'll wake up one day miraculously better. That's human, right? But I'm not scared of being gone. I've had a long time to sit with that idea. What scares me more is dragging my body through one more month of slow erasure, watching people pity me, watching myself fade, one dignity at a time. So yeah, I'm scared. But I've made peace with it. It's like boarding a plane. The takeoff freaks you out, but eventually you just close your eyes and let it carry you.
What are you doing with your final week?
I'm trying to live it like a highlight reel in slow motion. I had pizza with my high school friends 2 nights ago. We laughed until I cried, actually cried, because someone brought up the time we tried to start a band and couldn't play a single instrument. Yesterday, my dad and I just sat on the porch listening to the rain. No talking. Just the sound of it. That was enough. I'm also recording short video messages, birthday wishes, wedding advice, even jokes for the people I love. Some they'll get this year, others maybe 10 years from now. And I'm reading my favorite book again for what might be the 10th time. Same copy. Pages all folded and stained. It feels like closing a chapter exactly where it started.
Have you said goodbye to everyone you wanted to?
Not yet. Some goodbyes take more courage than others. I said goodbye to my grandmother over the phone last night. She's in a care home and can't travel. I kept my voice steady, told her how much I loved her. She told me she already knew. That wrecked me. There's an ex I haven't reached out to yet. We parted on rough terms, but she mattered. I'm debating if it's worth stirring the past just to say, "Hey, I'm leaving early. You were important." Mostly, I'm trying to give people the goodbye they need, not the one that makes me feel better. Sometimes that means silence. Sometimes it means a letter. Sometimes it means one last stupid inside joke about high school gym class.
What do you regret the most?
Easy. Time wasted on pretending I was fine when I wasn't. I spent years trying to be the strong one, always laughing things off, always hiding the darker stuff because I thought people expected that from me. Turns out, no one needed me to be unbreakable. They just needed me to be real. I regret not traveling more when I had the chance. I kept putting it off: money, work, relationships, and now I'll never see Iceland, never hike Machu Picchu. But mostly, I regret every later I said to someone who just wanted to talk. You don't realize how generous time is until it runs out.
What's something that surprised you about dying?
How ordinary it feels. I thought dying would feel grand, I guess. Cinematic. But instead, it's full of small moments, texting someone back, choosing what to eat for lunch, listening to the dog bark next door. Life doesn't suddenly turn into a movie just because it's ending. Also, people start treating you like you're made of glass. Like if they're too honest, you'll shatter. But what I need, is for them to still treat me like me. Joke with me. Call me out if I'm being a jerk. That's what makes me feel human. Not the sympathy. The realness.
Do you believe in anything after this?
I used to be firmly agnostic, leaning skeptical if I'm honest. But facing the end, it softens the edges of certainty. I've started hoping there's something. Not pearly gates or clouds and harps, but maybe just continuation. A memory, a ripple, a flicker of warmth in someone's heart when they think of me. Sometimes I imagine it like a quiet room where all the people I've lost are sitting around a table and I just walk in and sit down like I never left. But if there's nothing, if it's just sleep, I'm okay with that too. I've had some beautiful dreams. Maybe this is just the last one.
What do you want to be remembered for?
Not for being sick or dying early. Not for the wheelchair, the oxygen tank, or the morphine drip. I want people to remember how I showed up. I want them to say he listened like it mattered. He made me laugh when I needed it. He remembered my weird coffee order and actually cared when I was having a bad day. I want to be remembered for being present even when things sucked. For being kind without making a show of it. For being the guy who turned pain into connection even at the end. And maybe, just maybe, for having the guts to choose my exit with grace.
Do you ever feel angry about it?
That it had to be you? Absolutely. Some days I wake up and think, why the hell me? I see people abusing their bodies, wasting their lives, never saying thank you to anyone, and they're just fine. Meanwhile, I played by the rules. Ate well, exercised, never smoked. Still got the short straw. But anger's a fire that eats everything around it, including the good. I let myself feel it, then I move on. Because if I stay mad, I lose what little time I have left. And I won't let this disease take that too. I guess I've made peace with not knowing why. Some things just are. Not fair. Not just are.
What's something you wish you'd gotten to do just once?
Teach my kid how to ride a bike. I don't have kids, never got the timing right. Career always came first, and by the time I met someone I wanted to build with, it was already too late. I was diagnosed 6 months before I turned 39. We were talking about moving in together, picking out a name for a hypothetical baby girl. So yeah, that one stings. I always thought I had time. That's the great lie we all buy into. Time's just sitting there, endless, waiting. It's not. I would have been a good dad. Silly. Overprotective. The guy clapping way too hard at kindergarten graduation.
What did you do for a living before all this?
I was a high school English teacher. 12 years in the same district, same chipped desks, same weird hallway smell. And I loved it. Even the chaotic parts. Especially the chaotic parts. There's something magic about watching a kid go from "I hate books" to arguing passionately about "Of Mice and Men." I used to write little notes in the margins of their essays, jokes, encouragement, sometimes quotes. One kid taped mine to his locker. Another told me years later that my class was the first place she felt seen. That's what I miss most, not the job itself, but the connection. The way a single moment, even a dumb pun in a pop quiz, could stick with someone for life. I hope a few of them still remember me that way.
Do your students know what's happening?
No, they don't. Only the staff and a couple of former students I was really close with. I didn't want to make it a spectacle. I took medical leave when things started going downhill fast. The school sent out a vague message about my health and left it at that. I think most of them just assumed I'd moved on or taken a sabbatical. Maybe some noticed how sudden it was, maybe not. There's a part of me that wanted to tell them. But I didn't want to become a cautionary tale or a hashtag. I wanted them to remember the guy who wore punny literature shirts and hosted Shakespeare karaoke Fridays, not someone wasting away in a hospital bed. So no, they don't know. And I'm okay with that.
Is there anything you're still holding on to?
Like something unsaid or unresolved? Yeah. My brother and I had a falling out 5 years ago over something stupid like they always are. Words were said. Pride got in the way. We haven't spoken since. He knows what's happening. I reached out. Sent a letter, even had a mutual friend try to bridge the gap. No response. Not even a screw you. And I keep thinking maybe he'll show up at the last minute like in the movies. Maybe he won't. Either way, it hurts. Not because I need his apology, but because I miss my brother. We were thick as thieves growing up. Built a treehouse together that almost killed us both. That kind of bond doesn't just disappear. So yeah, I'm holding on to that silence, whether I want to or not.
What's the last thing that made you really laugh? Like, ugly laugh level?
Oh man, 2 nights ago. My friend Sarah came over with this old VHS tape from when we were in a local theater production of Grease in college. She somehow still had it. We were all babies, full of cringe and bad hair choices. There's this moment where I, playing Danny Zuko, completely wiped out on stage trying to do a spin. Like full cartoon fall. Legs in the air, slicked back wig sliding halfway off. And the entire cast tried to stay in character while I laid there like a stunned fish. We watched it 3 times. I laughed so hard I started coughing, and she had to pause it so I could breathe. Felt so good. For 5 minutes, I wasn't sick. I was just a dumb 20-something with no rhythm and too much gel in my hair.
What do you want your last day to look like? Have you planned it out?
I have, actually. Not in a rigid way, but enough to give it meaning. It'll be at home. I've chosen that over the hospital. There'll be a nurse, of course, but the rest will be people I love, quiet, not a crowd. Just my sister, my best friend, and my parents if they're up for it. No speeches. No dramatics. I want music playing. Real music, stuff that meant something to me. Maybe the National. Maybe a bit of Bowie. And I'll have my dog next to me. He's old and probably doesn't understand what's happening. But I know he'll be there. I've asked for it to happen in the late afternoon, just as the sun dips. I always loved that light. It's not about going out with a bang. It's about leaving gently, while the room is still full of life.
If you had one more year, what would you do with it?
Easy. I'd travel. Not even to the big flashy places. Just out. Somewhere quiet. Road trip through the Pacific Northwest. Sit by the ocean in Oregon and let the cold air remind me I'm still here. I'd write more. Maybe even try that novel I always said I'd get to someday. Not for publishing, just to leave something behind that sounds like me. And I'd spend every damn minute with the people who make me feel whole. No more putting things off. No more next time. I'd say yes to every invite, take every silly photo, and dance like an idiot even when my legs started to give out. A year would be a gift, but a week, that'll have to do.
What's something you want us, the people reading this, to remember or do differently because of you?
Live louder. Not noisier, louder. Say what you mean. Hug longer. Forgive faster. Eat the cake. Text your friends for no reason. Stop saving joy for later like it's some limited resource. Because later is a lie we tell ourselves to feel safe. I spent so much time being careful, strategic, responsible. And I'm not saying throw it all away, but please don't wait for a tragedy to give you permission to feel alive. Also, take more pictures. Not for social media. Just for yourself. One day you'll look back at them and realize how beautiful the ordinary really was. And if you're lucky enough to wake up tomorrow, don't waste it. Thanks so much for watching and being here with me through this. Take care of yourselves and each other. If this meant something to you, consider liking the video and subscribing for more stories that matter.